We'll call the meeting to order. And the first item of business is announcements. Mr. Ashby, you have some announcements for us.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Um, I'm hoping that someday in the future we can stop talking about storage units, but today is not that day. Um, I wanted to just give you a quick update on something that happened at City Council meeting last week. We sent over two ordinances with the approvals that the City Council had made for storage units, and the ordinances were correct. The City Clerk's office just forgot to change the description in the on the agenda, and so the council approved a description of it going back to the Planning and Zoning Commission for the CUP, but that was incorrect. That's not what they had originally approved, and so we're just going to be taking it back to them at the next City Council meeting on the 21st, or excuse me, on the 7th of December, and correcting that. So I just wanted to make sure that that was clear in case any of you were listening to that or heard anything about what they approved.
So you're saying we will not be doing CUPs again, or we will be doing?
You will not be doing CUPs for storage units.
Just for storage units. Okay, all right.
Any other announcements? Okay. Approval of minutes. They were resent out with correction. So
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the minutes as corrected.
okay, motion by Jeff, seconded by Steve to approve the minutes. All those in favor? Are we all? Is everybody here? I didn't even do roll call. Are we
It
all?
doesn't look like Ron's here.
Are we missing?
Ron should be the only one missing.
Okay, let's try this. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? There we go. Much faster. Okay, report on council actions. Do we have a council member?
Councilman Haverfield is out celebrating his anniversary with his sweetheart.
Aw,
He should be doing that with his wife.
That's true.
let's hope they're one and the same. Okay, business items. Christy, business item number 1.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. The action requested from you tonight is the approval or denial of the final plat for Heartland Sub number 2. This project is located east of Northside Boulevard and north of Houston Road. It is located inside the city limits and is zoned RS7. It is bordered on the north and west sides by city-zoned RS7 properties that will also be phases of this subdivision. On the east side by RS 8.5 zone property, and on the south side by county residential property. The annexation and zoning to RS7 was approved in August of 2014. The preliminary plat was approved in November of 2017, and phase 1 was approved in July of 2018, with the first extension approved in October of 2019. After I am done talking about this and you make a motion and a decision, we will move on to the second one-year extension of phase 1 as a separate action item tonight. So this development proposes 47 residential lots and 7 common lots on 13.5 acres. The findings in this case are that it is located within the city limits and is zoned RS7. It conforms to the approved preliminary plat layout, and it conforms to the applicable subdivision and zoning standards for Nampa. So staff feels that it is appropriate for the commission to recommend approval of the final plat for Heartland Subdivision number 2 to City Council with the conditions as listed in the staff report and any other conditions you see fit to impose. I will stand for any questions.
Any questions for Christy?
Christy, engineering general comments on comment B from Caleb LeClaire states that there's a pump station that's currently underway and that he will not sign off on the second phase final plat until it's operational. Does that have anything to do with this? Is that gonna hold us up on this?
No, so final plat signature is kind of an interesting bird. We don't actually sign off on the final plat to be recorded until after all of the construction and punch list items are taken care of.
Okay.
This approval that you guys go through basically gives me a date of approval. And then when I receive that Mylar and Peggy signs off on it, I put that date, today's date, on the Mylar, so it shows when it was approved by you, but the final plat signature doesn't come until much later in the process.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so what do you guys think?
I think they're out there working on it, and it sounds like it's just moving forward. So I think it's good. So I'll make a motion that we recommend approval of the final plat for Heartland subdivision number 2 in an RS7 zoning district at 0 Northside Boulevard for 47 residential lots, 6 common lots, 12.32 acres for a 3.81 gross lot density for Traditional Capital Partners LLC, Don Newell, with all conditions of staff.
Okay, motion by Matt, seconded by Michelle. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that goes on. Business item number 2, Christy.
Okay, so thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners. So in regards to this item, I need to keep going this way. Okay. So there is a second 1-year extension request for phase 1. The applicant, Dan Lardy, has stated that it's already under construction, but it ran into delays due to the highway district not allowing further road closures during construction on Midland Boulevard in that area. This request is for 1 year. It won't be much longer before it's recorded, so they aren't going to need the full year. I will stand for any questions.
Any questions for Christy?
I do have a question. With COVID in play, and this seems to be affecting quite a few people, is there a way to extend the CUP longer than a year based on issues with COVID and any of that stuff, or is that pretty much set, or has that even been discussed?
So Commissioner Kirkman, a CUP is only for 6 months. This is a final plat.
Okay.
And a final plat gets a year. And you can extend these out as long as you like. Code actually states that it's only a year at a time. So, if it was based on COVID related issues, that's totally up to you.
Discretionary then at that time. Okay.
Madam Chair, I'll go ahead and make the motion that we approve the request for a second 1-year extension of final plat approval for Heartland subdivision number 1. The first expired 8/27/20. So they'd put the new one at what, from today's date or from 8/27?
We go from today's, because today's the day you approved it.
Okay, so from 1 year from today.
Second.
Okay, motion by Brett, second by Matt. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that one is approved. Item number 3. An extension of conditional use permit for a new mobile home park. This is the amended.
All
We don't
right,
have the
thank
amendment.
you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. The architect for the Kiwi Mobile Home Park is requesting a 6-month extension of their conditional use permit due to COVID-19 delays, working with Idaho Power issues and delays with soil and survey work. The preliminary plan was submitted, but it will not be on your agenda until January. So we went ahead and decided it was a good idea to keep that CUP approval extended. So the project, if you don't remember, the project is comprised of 9 acres and was proposed to provide 6 mobile home spaces. This includes the 2 existing spaces and 4 new spaces. The expiration date was October 25th, 2020, and by approval would then be extended to March 25th of 2021. Here's a little refresher for you. The area required for a mobile home park is 5 acres, but you waived that requirement for this due to the existing site circumstances. The higher density was approved because the property is not a full acre and it's just over what would be allowed for an acre. They increased their recreation area from 3,600 to 5,516 to meet the minimum requirement. And they also increased their storage space area to 600 square feet, which exceeds the required 360 square feet. So staff recommends approval of this extension with all conditions that were required by the previous approvals. I will stand for any questions.
Any questions for Christy? Okay.
Madam Chair, this is Matt. I'll make a motion that we approve the extension of a conditional use permit for a new mobile home park to replace the prior mobile home park with all the existing conditions for Jeff Hatch representing Noah Hillen up
I'll second.
until
This is Adam.
through March 25th, 2021. Sorry, Adam.
Okay. Motion by Matt, second by Adam to approve the extension. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, we got 1 nay, Michelle. Okay, public hearing. We got 1 minute.
Oh, we can't start till 7.
Gotta
We
wait.
really flew through those.
Not quite a minute, though.
Rodney, say goodbye.
Get a hot date. Oh, yeah.
Goodbye.
Happy Thanksgiving. Go enjoy
Okay.
yourself.
Thanks.
Bye.
Okay, 7 o'clock. So we have 1 public hearing item and we have the applicant here. Why don't you come up, give us your name and address for the record and tell us what you want to do.
I think that was by process of elimination right there.
It was a lucky guess.
We won't complain. Yes, my name is Kurt Smith. I work at 2587 Southside Boulevard, Nampa, Idaho. I'm a licensed engineer and practice engineering in the state of Idaho, and I'm the project engineer for this development. What we have tonight is a tract of land. It's south of Maryland, east of Midland Boulevard. It was previously zoned RD. We have a 3.16 acres, and we're trying to split that into 9 fourplex lots for 11.55 units per acre. Our minimum lot size is 14,001 square feet. That complies with the zoning requirement. Our lot width also complies with the zoning requirements. We reviewed the staff report and all the comments and requirements, and we don't have any issues with anything that staff has prepared for us to do. There was one question we had, we needed to have clarified. In the recommended conditions of approval, if if you look at item number 2, it mentions to construct a sidewalk along the east side of Midland Boulevard, and that needs to be 10 foot in width to act as a side path. We've got comments from 2 different agencies, one requesting 5-foot walk and one requesting 10-foot. Engineering has requested 10-foot walk. If you look in Pete's comments, it'd be page 49 in your packet. Looks like item 4. I have a really crappy copy. See if I can read it here. Frontage road improvements will be required in accordance with Nampa City Code Section 9-3-1 to be reflected on the final construction drawing, including South Midland Boulevard sidewalk and borrow ditch for street frontage sidewalk to continue on a straight line and follow what was approved for the Anchor Point project, sidewalk to be 5 foot wide. If I don't know if you remember, but we recently did a project just to the north of this called Anchor Point, and in that process, we were told to put a 5-foot sidewalk in along Midland Boulevard. This is the reason Pete gives. The engineering division recommends the 10-foot side path be constructed on the west side of the road. We're on the east. Due to the location of the existing Edwards lateral pathway to the north, and Summit Ridge subdivision is constructing the pathway on the west side of the road, south of Greenhurst Road. So if you go back to condition 2, we don't know where we're going to land on that one. And so it may need to be edited wording a little bit to account for a 5 or a 10-foot, depending on what's decided.
And you're willing to do whatever they say?
We will.
Okay.
Yeah. And with that, I'd like to stand for any questions.
Okay, well, we might have some after we hear from staff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. For the record, Christy Watkins, Principal Planner for the City of Nampa. The request before you this evening is for approval of the preliminary plat for Mallard Apartment Subdivision located at 2000 South Midland Boulevard on the east side of Midland and north of Greenhurst Road. The property is currently inside the city limits and is zoned RD. It's bordered on the north by RS4, zoned property to be developed as Anchor Point subdivision, on the west by RS7, zoned property that is the Sandcrest subdivision, and on the east and south sides by county residential property. The preliminary plat proposes 9 fourplex lots for a total of 36 dwelling units on 3.12 acres, which as stated is 11.55 units per acre and matches the net density calculation for the medium density designation in the comp plan. This property will take access from Maryland Avenue. So the findings in this case are that because the proposed development is slated for development in conjunction with the RD zoning, all building lots are for attached units have a base requirement of 7,000 square feet per lot for the first 2 units, plus 3,500 square feet per dwelling unit after that. Therefore, a fourplex structure requires 14,000 square foot base lot area. The minimum lot size shown on the plat equals 14,004 square feet, and the plat is deemed compliant in this regard. All lots demonstrate the required lot width, and there is no requirement for depth in the RD zone. Staff has reviewed the landscape plan and has recommended limiting or eliminating the use of the white ash tree due to the ash borer pandemic that we have right now. For safe routes to school, Iowa Elementary is 0.5 miles north and then east on Iowa. It is very walkable. There are no sidewalks along the east side of Midland Boulevard for 500 feet, but there are sidewalks on the north side of Iowa Avenue from Midland to the school entrance. For South Middle School, it's just over a mile along West Greenhurst, or can be routed through the Tamarack Point and Season subdivisions. Skyview High School is approximately 2.25 miles away, and that is not walkable. So we had the typical input from the city forester, as mentioned in the landscape plan review. This department is requesting the 10-foot side path along Midland, as they did with the Anchor Point subdivision. GIS has requested a name for the drive aisle. The building department, Nampa Meridian Irrigation District, fire department, and engineering all included their standard development comments. So the conditions of approval are listed in your staff report and include the same items that came from the correspondence. If you choose, we can eliminate number 3 altogether and go along with the engineering recommendations, since it appears that that's what happened on Anchor Point. There's still developable property on the west side of Midland, so it could very easily be shifted to the other side of the road. So given that analysis, staff supports approval of the preliminary plat for Mallard Apartment subdivision with all conditions listed in the staff report. I will stand for any questions.
Does anybody have any questions for Christy or for the applicant? Well, I would entertain a motion to close public hearing since there's nobody here.
I'll second. It's Brett.
Okay, motion by Steve, second by Brett to close public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, public hearing is closed. So if you guys have any questions, now's the time. Or somebody can make a motion.
So that 5 foot, Christy, the 5 foot path versus the 10 foot, was that just an oversight or was it just, I mean, how did it?
So Commissioner Kirkman, in our bike and ped plan, we have a side path indicated for Midland Boulevard. Because these 2 new developments were south enough on that corridor and the first one's coming in, Parks Department saw that on the bike ped plan and just recommended
Oh, I
put
see.
the side path in. It would be ultimately up to engineering to determine if that's the appropriate location for it or not. And they've determined because of the drainage that it's not. So,
And 5 foot is sufficient then.
oh yeah.
10 foot to go across the street. I hear a motion.
I've lost my list of conditions.
Here,
Was that condition number 3?
eliminate
In
3.
The yeah, staff
Eliminate
report.
3.
In the staff report, the sidewalk is number 2, recommended.
Number 2. Okay.
I think in the listed ones I had on here, I put must follow all of the agency requirements, and I don't think that's what's listed in here. Yeah, so in your staff report, it's condition number 2.
Okay. Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that if there's no other questions, I don't want to jump in. Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we recommend the city council approval for the subdivision plat for a preliminary approval for Mallard Apartments in an RD zoning district at 2000 South Midland Boulevard for 9 buildable lots with 4 dwellings each for a total of 36 dwellings on 3.12 acres. For Kurt Smith, representing Monty Baldwin, Greenhead Partners, with all conditions of staff except for condition number 2, and that would be remain as the engineering recommendation of a 5 foot path rather than a 10 foot path.
Second.
Second.
Didn't we have to do 3 also? I thought we had to eliminate 3.
No, it was 3 on one page and 2
Oh,
on another.
It was 3 on the presentation, but it should have been.
That's where I was confused.
Okay, so Matt, were you the one that seconded before Michelle?
Yes.
Okay, so motion by Jeff, seconded by Matt. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you very much.
There's got to be a record.
Everybody have a wonderful Thanksgiving.